terms of my mentality, anytime the U.S. called me up, I was there, no matter what the case would be. It's just something that was always an honor to me. For me personally, I just would always answer the call.
So much soccer has just gone down in America in the last few weeks that I've been having the best time, and I want to talk specifically with you about the Gold Cup first. I know we wanted to see the U.S. lifting the trophy in the event, but even you said it was a positive to see them in the final. And as you know, Americans love being number one in everything. So do you think fans are having too high expectations? Do you feel like they're happy with the result? What have you heard from fans, how they're feeling right now?
No, I mean, I think it's important to have high expectations. I think what you've seen from fans from the Copa America being the first host country to not get out of the group, and Concacaf Nations League losing to Panama in the semifinal, you kind of saw the fan reaction in Gold Cup at some of the venues. There wasn't large American crowds there, but I think surely but slowly they're winning the crowd back, especially not having their best players. But being out from injury, Anthony Robinson, Serginho Dest, Balogun, Pepe, Christian, kind of a workload situation, needing a little bit of rest. But having the full team back, I think we'll be excited to see what they can do. But nonetheless, they got to the final. I think they showed grit. I think they showed fight is what the American fans wanted to see. And I think as we look forward to the friendlies, that as we build towards the World Cup of 2026, hopefully they'll inspire the fans more to get out there and put a product on the field that makes them want to spend their hard-earned money to go watch them play.
So ahead of the biggest tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in the world, on your confidence level, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in this team just a year out from the World Cup?
I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to say the glass is half full. I'm believing that when everybody's fit and back together, they'll get the job done. It seemed like in the past when their backs against the wall, they were able to stand strong, which you saw during the World Cup qualifying process as they built towards Qatar, and then how well that they played in the World Cup and how they've done in some of these Concacaf Nations League finals. They've already won 3. We've had a little bit of a step backwards, but I'm hoping we're having 2 steps forward. So I think by having this country behind them, getting them inspired, I think they have the position, be in a position to do something truly special. I think like what we saw in '94, when you had that team beat Colombia, get out of the group stage and take Brazil to, they've only beaten them 1-0, which is the team that ended up winning the World Cup in the knockout round. So I'm hoping we'll see something like that.
Mm-hmm. Another big story was who went where, who didn't, and you have Tyler Adams, who played a long season but still chose to show up for the team, and then Pulisic, who didn't. And Tyler made a good point to the New York Post and said that it was a decision that was made for themselves, what's best for themselves. But how do you see the line being drawn between what's best for the team versus what's best for you personally? I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs to do what's best for them and what they think is going to have them best prepared to take on the long seasons that modern players have to deal with in terms of the amount of games that they play and the travel that's in this game. Also, just important to balance that workload out for them. But in terms of my mentality, anytime the U.S. called me up, I was there, no matter what the case would be. It just something that was always an honor to me, something I dreamed about as a kid. I pray that to represent my country and to play in big competitions, especially the World Cup only being a year out. For me personally, I just would always answer the call.
I can only imagine how hard it must be to balance and handle the personalities of this team. So how do you think Coach Pochettino's been doing that? Because I know it was kind of a soft spot in the last World Cup with Berhalter at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is credit to Berhalter. After I was a part of the team that didn't qualify in 2018, they were able to go through the qualifying process, qualify for Qatar. Then, they were able to get out of the group. They were able to win some Concacaf Nations League. So I want to give them a little credit there. But then you thought that they would progress and take another step forward because you had a lot of guys. It was the first time being in the World Cup and having that experience under them. You think, all right, we're going to go to that next level. You had Copa America, which is on home soil, which was the World Cup will be. And we're the first host country not to get out of the group. So that was that was a failure there. In terms of Pochettino, what's he doing now? I think the failure of Concacaf Nations League, having a better, having pretty much all the players available for selection and losing to Panama it's not what we wanted. I think going into Gold Cup, he didn't have a lot of his options there because of injuries, but I think he showed that he still was able to find a way to win with in terms of getting to the final, but we came up short. I think you'll see here as we build toward these friendlies about the culture that he created, I think, in the Gold Cup, and trying to create an environment where, look, if you want to be here or not, or how hard you work in training is going to determine who my starting 11 is going to be. Create that culture of competition. Well, then I think it'll be good as we build forward. I think ultimately he's going to be graded upon how he does in the World Cup and whether or not he was the right man for the job. So we'll have to wait and see.
Last few here for you, but I'm glad you mentioned that because, even though there are always things to improve on, I feel like there's a lot of good that came out of this. And you said that you were thrilled with the performance of Chris Richards, and then obviously guys like Malik Tillman and keeper Matt Freese showed out. So I guess that is maybe an argument for why Pochettino brought who he brought to try and unearth some hidden gems and solidify the starting 11, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have a new coach that comes in, he wants to figure out, have a new set of eyes out there to maybe some player selections that other coach wasn't looking at, right? And then you want to kind of see who are you going to be your guys and who are going to have your back when your back is against the wall. Because I think after Nations League, he did feel that pressure. You're in Gold Cup, and if you didn't have a good performance there, it could be panic stations, I would say. I mean, you were able to get to the final, so there's a little bit of saving grace there, but you lost to our rivals, so we came up short. And then now we have these friendlies to kind of get prepared. But I think there, you see Chris Richards. He looks like he's definitely someone that's going to break into that World Cup roster spot. I think, Malik Tillman and Luna, they were knocking on the door. It'd be interesting to see kind of how that plays out. I think Tillman maybe has a little bit more of a shout there. With the quality that he has, and also that move to Bayern Leverkusen, just kind of curious to how he continues to grow as a player. But I think it's only going to make the team better in that midfield to figure out what they're going to do, whether it's Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Cardosa made the move to Atletico Madrid, or Malik Tillman kind of being in that position, or are they going to use him in more of a winger position as well? So I think it's good. You want competition. And you want people to kind of look over their shoulder a little bit and not just know that every time they show up, they're going to start. You want it to be mixed up a little bit.
Yeah. And especially on Freese with PKs, he's just awesome. Would you, if you were building the roster for the World Cup, would you have him on top of the depth chart over Matt?
I mean, that's a tough one, right? I mean, I think you have to look at what are going to be your three best keepers there, and depending on situations, who's playing week in and week out, and where you are in games. I know you look about certain teams in the past, like the Netherlands in penalty shootouts, they would sub on a goalie in Krul he was a really good shot stopper. Maybe he's our secret weapon when it comes to penalty shootouts, Freeze. But I think it's still a position that's up for grabs between, Zach Steffen, Matt Turner, and also there might be another keeper here or there. I mean, I still, that was a position you look back in the past that was always solid, whether it was Tony Miola, whether it was Brad Friedel, whether it was Casey Keller, whether it was Tim Howard. We had keepers or Brad Guzan, that were playing week in and week out for big teams.